Some disappearances leave behind evidence. Others leave behind only questions that grow more disturbing with each passing year. The case of Angela Hammond represents something far more unsettling than a simple vanishing. What happened on that April night challenges our understanding of how people disappear and why some mysteries refuse to stay buried. But first, join our subscribers who crave the unexplained. Hit subscribe. It was April 4th, 1991, just before midnight in the small town of Clinton, Missouri. Population barely 9,000. The kind of place where strangers are noticed and midnight phone calls mean emergencies. 20-year-old Angela Hammond, 4 months pregnant, sat in her red Ford Escort outside the Centennial Bank on East Franklin Street. She was talking to her boyfriend Rob Schaefer from the payphone, their nightly ritual, when his phone service was disconnected. The street stretched empty in both directions. Sodium vapor lights cast orange pools on cracked asphalt. Angela's car idled nearby, windows down to catch the cool spring air. She had driven the 15 miles from her home in Whiteman Air Force Base housing to make this call. It was routine, safe, predictable. According to the official police report, Angela had been on the phone for approximately 20 minutes. She was discussing wedding plans and baby names. Normal conversation between young people planning a future together. Rob would later tell investigators that Angela sounded relaxed, even happy. Nothing in her voice suggested concern or fear. At 11:54 that night, Angela's voice changed. Mid-sentence, she stopped talking about nursery colors and whispered something that would haunt investigators for decades. She told Rob that a green pickup truck with a white camper shell had pulled into the parking lot. The driver was using the payphone directly across from her position. Rob asked if she wanted to drive away. Angela said no. The man appeared to be making a normal phone call. She could see him clearly under the streetlight. Tall, maybe 6 feet, wearing a baseball cap pulled low. Dark clothing. Nothing immediately threatening about his appearance or behavior, but Angela kept watching him. Something about his presence felt wrong. She described his movements to Rob as deliberate, almost rehearsed. He wasn't fumbling for coins or looking around nervously, like most people making late-night calls. He stood perfectly still, receiver pressed to his ear, but Angela couldn't tell if he was actually speaking to anyone. Then the man hung up and walked back toward his truck. Angela relaxed. She started to resume her conversation about wedding venues. The danger, if there had been any danger, seemed to pass. The green truck should have driven away. Instead, it remained parked under the light engine running. What happened next defies conventional understanding of stranger abductions. The man didn't approach Angela's car immediately. Instead, he sat in his truck for several minutes, windows down, as if listening. Angela told Rob she could see him clearly in his side mirror. He wasn't looking at her. He was looking past her, toward the darkened shops along Franklin Street. Angela's voice dropped to a whisper. She said the man had gotten out of his truck again and was walking toward her car. But according to her description, he wasn't walking directly. He was moving in a wide arc, keeping to the shadows between streetlights. Professional, practiced, like someone who understood how to approach without triggering flight responses. Rob told her to leave immediately. Angela agreed and started walking toward her car, phone cord stretching to its limit. She was describing the man's appearance in greater detail when her voice suddenly rose in alarm. She said he was running toward her now. Full sprint. She dropped the phone and ran for her car. Rob heard car doors slamming through the phone line. Then Angela's voice, muffled but audible, shouting something he couldn't understand. The connection remained open. Rob could hear sounds that investigators would later classify as a struggle. Scuffling. Angela calling his name. Then the sound of her car, engine revving hard. But here the case takes an impossible turn. Rob heard Angela's voice one final time, shouting clearly through the phone, "That's my car. He's got my car." The words were distinct, unmistakable. Angela was watching her own vehicle being driven away, while somehow remaining close enough to the payphone for her voice to carry across the connection. Rob jumped in his own car and drove the 15 miles to Clinton in under 10 minutes. He arrived to find Angela's red Escort sitting exactly where she had parked it. Engine off. Keys in the ignition. Payphone receiver dangling by its cord. No sign of Angela or the green pickup truck anywhere. The police arrived within minutes of Rob's call. Their initial assessment suggested a straightforward abduction scenario. Victim taken from vehicle, perpetrator fled in his own truck. But the evidence told a different story. Angela's purse sat undisturbed on the passenger seat. Her jacket remained folded in the back. Most significantly, the car showed no signs of forced entry or struggle. Officer Sarah Martinez, the first responder, noted several details that didn't fit standard abduction patterns. Angela's car had been moved approximately 6 feet from its original position based on tire marks in the gravel. But the movement pattern suggested the car had been driven in a complete circle before being returned to almost the same spot. The engine was cold, indicating it had been turned off for some time before police arrival. More disturbing were the discoveries made during the expanded search. 3 blocks away, behind Morrison's hardware store, investigators found a payphone receiver torn completely from its mounting. The phone company confirmed it had been functioning normally earlier that evening. The damage appeared recent, violent, as if someone had ripped it away in desperation or rage. But the most unsettling evidence emerged from the phone company's records. Angela's call to Rob showed a duration of 47 minutes. Rob insisted the abduction occurred at 11:54, exactly 23 minutes into their conversation. According to the official record, someone continued using that payphone for nearly 24 minutes after Angela vanished. The FBI joined the investigation within 72 hours. Agent Michael Torres reviewed all physical evidence and witness statements. His preliminary report, partially declassified in 2008, revealed details that local police had not made public. The green pickup truck had been spotted by 3 separate witnesses in the weeks leading up to Angela's disappearance. Mrs. Dorothy Chen, who lived 2 blocks from the bank, reported seeing the same truck parked on Franklin Street on 3 different nights. Always between 11 and midnight. Always in a position with clear sight lines to the payphones. She had noticed it because her insomnia kept her watching the street during late hours. The truck never stayed long, maybe 15 or 20 minutes each time. More significantly, the truck had been seen at 2 other locations where young women regularly made late-night phone calls. The Quick Shop on Highway 7, where several college students used the outside payphone when their dormitory phones were restricted. And the rest stop on Interstate 70, a common stopping point for travelers needing to make calls before cell phones became widespread. Agent Torres's report noted that all 3 locations shared specific characteristics. Isolated payphones with nearby parking. Minimal late-night foot traffic. Easy access to major highways for rapid departure. The pattern suggested extensive planning and surveillance, not a random opportunistic crime. But the investigation uncovered another layer of strangeness. Phone company technicians discovered that the payphone Angela had been using showed signs of tampering. The internal wiring had been modified in a way that allowed incoming calls to be monitored or recorded. The modification was sophisticated, requiring technical knowledge and specialized equipment. The case reached its most baffling point during the forensic analysis of the payphone recordings. Standard procedure required phone companies to maintain connection logs, but not actual conversation recordings. However, a technical malfunction in the switching equipment had accidentally captured portions of Angela's final call in the system's diagnostic buffer. The recovered audio lasted only 93 seconds, but contained sounds that investigators couldn't explain. Angela's voice was clearly audible, along with Rob's responses coming through the phone speaker. But there were other sounds. Footsteps that seemed to echo as if in a large enclosed space, not an open parking lot. And voices, multiple voices, speaking in what sounded like coordinated responses. Audio analysis revealed that some of these voices appeared to be Angela herself, but saying things she never said during the actual phone call with Rob. Phrases like "everything is fine" and "I'll call you tomorrow" spoken in her voice, but at times when Rob remembered her expressing fear or confusion. Most disturbing was a section of audio where Angela's voice could be heard, having what sounded like a complete conversation with someone else. She was answering questions, providing personal information, describing her daily routines. But this conversation was taking place simultaneously with her phone call to Rob, as if she was somehow in two places at once. The FBI's audio laboratory in Quantico analyzed the recordings using the most advanced equipment available in 1991. Their conclusion, buried in classified files until 2008, stated that the multiple voice tracks appeared to be genuine, not dubbed or edited. But they could offer no technical explanation for how one person could be recorded having two separate conversations at the same time. The search for Angela Hammond expanded to cover 3 states within the first week. Over 200 volunteers combed the countryside around Clinton, Missouri. Search dogs tracked scents from her car to various points throughout the town, but the trails always ended abruptly, as if Angela had simply vanished from those locations. On April 10th, 6 days after the disappearance, searchers made a discovery that deepened the mystery rather than solving it. In a wooded area 12 miles south of Clinton, they found items that belonged to Angela. Her watch, a distinctive silver bracelet, and one of her shoes. But these items weren't scattered randomly. They were arranged in a precise line, exactly 47 feet apart, pointing directly toward the payphone where she had vanished. Each item showed no signs of damage or weathering, despite being outdoors for nearly a week. More puzzling, the ground around each item appeared to have been recently disturbed, as if something had been buried and then dug up. Soil analysis revealed traces of human presence, but no clear evidence of what had been placed there. The most significant discovery came from Angela's watch. It had stopped at 12:41 a.m. on April 4th, approximately 47 minutes after her disappearance began. But when investigators examined the watch mechanism, they found it wasn't damaged or broken. It had been deliberately stopped, the crown pulled out to halt the movement. Someone had wanted to record that specific time. As news of the disappearance spread, additional witnesses came forward with information that complicated the investigation further. 3 truck drivers traveling Highway 7 that night reported seeing unusual activity around the Clinton area between midnight and 1 a.m. All 3 described seeing multiple vehicles moving in what appeared to be a coordinated pattern. Driver James Walsh reported seeing at least 5 different vehicles, including a green pickup truck, driving slowly through Clinton's residential areas. The vehicles stayed several blocks apart, but seemed to be following predetermined routes. Walsh noted this because it reminded him of search patterns used by law enforcement, but no official search was underway at that time. More disturbing was the account of Maria Santos, a nurse finishing her shift at Golden Valley Memorial Hospital. She was driving home through Clinton at approximately 12:30 a.m. when she saw a young woman standing beside a red car on Franklin Street. The woman appeared to be talking on a payphone, exactly matching Angela's appearance and situation. But according to the official timeline, Angela had vanished 36 minutes earlier. Santos was certain about the time because she had just checked her watch before leaving the hospital. She considered stopping to see if the woman needed help, but decided against approaching a stranger in the middle of the night. Santos's account suggested either that Angela had somehow returned to the location after her abduction, or that someone else had been recreating the scene for unknown purposes. Neither explanation fit with any conventional understanding of criminal behavior. By summer of 1991, the official investigation had reached a standstill. The FBI had interviewed over 300 people, analyzed thousands of pieces of evidence, and followed up on hundreds of tips. None led to Angela Hammond or provided a coherent explanation for her disappearance. Agent Torres's final report, submitted in August 1991, contained a conclusion that has never been fully explained to the public. He recommended that the case be transferred to a specialized unit within the Department of Justice that handles anomalous disappearances with potential national security implications. This unit's existence was not acknowledged until 2005. The case file was classified at a level typically reserved for matters involving foreign intelligence or technological secrets. Local law enforcement was instructed to refer all inquiries to federal authorities. Angela's family was told that the investigation would continue, but they would not be updated on its progress for security reasons. Rob Schaefer continued searching for Angela independently until 2003, when he received a visit from 2 federal agents. After this meeting, he stopped all public discussion of the case and moved out of Missouri. Attempts to contact him for this report were unsuccessful. 27 years later, the Angela Hammond case remains officially unsolved. The original evidence has been transferred to federal custody and is no longer accessible to local investigators. Freedom of Information Act requests have been denied on grounds of national security, but questions persist that go beyond the simple matter of what happened to one young woman in Missouri. The technical anomalies surrounding her disappearance suggest possibilities that challenge conventional understanding of how people vanish. The coordinated vehicle activity implies organization on a scale rarely seen in individual criminal acts. Most disturbing are the reports that have surfaced from other locations across the Midwest. Similar disappearances involving young women, payphones, and green pickup trucks. Always with technical anomalies that defy explanation. Always resulting in classified investigations and federal involvement. The pattern suggests that Angela Hammond's case was not isolated, but part of something larger and more systematic. Something that required the resources of federal agencies and the protection of national security classification to investigate properly. What do you think really happened to Angela Hammond during those final moments at the payphone? Was this a carefully planned abduction or something far stranger that our conventional understanding cannot explain? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe to explore more cases where the official explanations raise more questions than they answer.